Okay, the needle has the two prongs on the end just to hold it. And so you just wrap your thread, and you have to be pretty good judge. So when I first started, Larry made me a couple of wide sticks you thread around there. This is just a popsicle stick and a corn dog stick, and those are nice to use. And then the double pointed knitting needles in different sizes. And what it does is just gives you the different size holes that you'll be working into and through. So it's just a series of knots, and it is the same knot that they use in when they used to make their nets for fishing. The only internet things I could find, they do it on a pillow, but Merene taught me you hold this on your foot. Shoes are much better, but I am comfortable with it between my toes. Anchor, because you have to have some tension on this as you work on it. So the first few stitches on anything are hard, but so that's how you work it. The front side of it is facing away, but you're actually curving it over your finger so you can work on it. And these are the stitches I'd be picking up and working onto my needle. I'm going to tie a square knot. I've got my first part of the square knot. So we'll just do the square knot to start.
Now you're anchoring the thread that's wound on your, did they call that a bobbin?
It's a shuttle.
Shuttle. Okay.
Just the same as in tatting. This is a netting shuttle. And then you work over like a gauge, that's what it's called, a gauge. And the first stitches are always hard because just getting it started and balanced and everything. So those, hold it by your thumb and around your little finger. Okay, now we let go of the thumb.
So you rock the thumb back a little bit to let go.
Okay, now we've got that first one started. Maybe we can get moving on this. Okay, so I'm letting go with my thumb first, then the second finger, and it's, okay, so that's, we get the size of the loop by whatever size gauge we do. I'll probably do, at least 24 in the middle. Get this first part done. Okay, thumb, then your fingers, and you use your threads to tighten the loop up and tighten this knot, right? And you're trying to get your knots all the same spot on that pencil. And as the pencil fills up though too, you slide stitches off, and you want your knots, make sure you tighten them, and the loop is tight. Okay. It's helpful to go in the right spot. Now the knots, don't want to mention that, the knots will slide on this base thread, but they shouldn't ever come undone if I've done the knots right. And I think my enjoyment came mostly from visiting with Merene and just spending some time with her. She had a lot of great stories and had a very interesting life, I think. Because the start of every round is still just a little bit awkward to get those first stitches going. See if my finger behind it. Okay. So I need is Maureen to tell me what am I doing wrong. Okay, this is kind of a funny one, but I will do a knot in here. This is, so it's the first stitch for this next round, and it's going to be a little long. Usually Maureen hid hers well, and that must just come with experience, because mine, you can always tell where I've started. This is the first stitch of the second round. So you just start right in there. I'm going to leave these stitches on for a little bit. And you just kind of move around the next round. Take most of those off and just start, and I'll probably do 3 or 4 rounds with the knitting needle, and then I'll have to add more stitches so it'll stay flat.
That'd be great.
So this is the starting the third round. Well, I didn't count my, yes I did. Just keep working in a circle and see where it takes us.
Okay, say that
Right
again.
here. So
The crossover stitch.
this, let's see, I put it on my pant. Belly's too big. So the crossovers just adds a little interesting. So it's just like with the crochet, you pick up or you go through a stitch and then come back and pick up a stitch that you've not done, and it just crosses over. So it just adds a little bit of interest. This one, which one? Not this one. Yeah, this one I did, and I don't know if I could remember how to do these double knots, and I thought I really like those. I like the little bobbles in there. Or a fan, I guess. I just like how that.
So is this finished?
I need to add the ties. So basically, but I need the doll, there's a head in there to know where to put the ribbon that would hold on. So I've taught one granddaughter to knit, and about four of them to crochet, but no one's been interested in learning netting or tatting yet. So I'm hoping they will. I probably was in my 30s when I started tatting, and netting was, gosh, maybe in my 40s, even closer to 50. So hopefully, I don't know that I'll be around long enough to teach him. I'm not planning on living as old as Merene. So my mom was 93. My dad was 91. So I may live longer than I want to.
John Nicholson actually introduced me to the woodwork. He was making a bed, or had made a bed, and I've always wanted to do, you know, something like that. And he showed me how, and actually gave me some of the logs and stuff. The very first one I made was the one in the other room over there, and then I got into it and made bunk beds and queen beds and all kinds of stuff. A lot of railings, log furniture, chairs, and things like that. Been doing it probably 25 years, something like that. This is my favorite, just because of the
Interesting.
uniqueness, I guess, of it. It's a lodgepole from up by Vernal, where we got the logs. And the footboard is quite unique in some ways. You don't see it quite as much. But I have a tool, a specialty tool that cuts a tenon. And you put it in a big heavy-duty drill, and then you put the log in a vise, and then just push it in the drill, probably 10 to 15 seconds to cut a tenon like that.
Big pencil sharpener.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, big pencil sharpener. On this log, on the bigger ones, down on the top and the bottom, I did it by hand with a draw knife. So I didn't have a tenon cutter that's a 3-inch like that. So it's called skip bark. So the bark was still on, and then you just take part of it off and leave some of it on.
Did you use a draw knife to do that?
Yes, yeah, draw knife. That one shows it real good. The bottom log still shows the bark on. Some people take all the bark off and just have it, you know, thing. But this is called skip bark. Tell that story too. Did a project. We wanted some stamped colored concrete down at our cabin, the front and back porch. We found a guy in Price that does that. And so he has a cabin up in Schofield, and he wanted I think did about 3 beds and a big long railing, probably 40-50 feet of railing and things. So we just traded labor. Worked out really good.